A level 2 and 3 severe risk means tomorrow is a WRAL weather alert day. Heavy rain could lead to flooding and strong winds could produce tornadoes. See what to expect in your town and when.
Then we're live with Duke Energy, the new technology they plan to use to keep your power on at home during the storms. Plus, a man accused of seeking revenge against the driver who hit and killed his mother in court today. What drastic steps prosecutors say he took to get closer to his intended victim.
Right now at 7, a high-impact system is moving our way, bringing the risk for severe weather for most of our area. Taking a live look at this radar, this is the system moving through, and you can see why tomorrow is a WRAL weather alert day. Several school districts will close early, including Wake County. In the last few hours, a flood watch was issued for the Triangle. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Chris Levingood. The biggest threats are heavy rain, damaging winds, and tornadoes, and those could lead to some power outages and be factors in the severity of the weather for several hours. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with who will see the biggest impacts and when.
Everybody's going to see the strong winds and heavy rain, but when we get down to the severe weather threat, we can really break that down into who has the greatest potential. Everybody has a chance of seeing a severe storm tomorrow. That chance, especially for tornadoes, is the highest south and east of Raleigh, where there's a level 3 risk here for Fayetteville, over toward Goldsboro and Orange. The Triangle under a level 2 out of 5 risk, and northwest a level 1 risk for severe weather. That would come tomorrow afternoon and evening, but starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow and lasting through 10 p.m. tomorrow, it's going to be a windy day. We could see some winds gusting to 45 miles per hour. And with such a long period of these strong wind gusts, that could lead to some power outages. So a wind advisory in effect tomorrow. And then we've got the heavy rain to talk about. So let's break this down for you. When you wake up tomorrow morning, already there will be wet roads, widespread rain for the morning commute. Can't rule out a rumble of thunder, but we're not expecting any severe weather, and it's not terribly windy just yet. As we get toward 1, 2 o'clock, that's when we start to see the threat of storms ramping up. We could see some scattered strong to severe storms throughout the afternoon and early evening hours tomorrow. It's going to be quite windy during this time period as well. And as we move ahead toward 5 o'clock, you can still see a line of some thunderstorms trying to develop with some strong winds possible as it moves west to east. But as we move closer to 8 o'clock, we begin to see some improvements around the Triangle in Fayetteville. Still storms in the eastern part of our area through about 9, perhaps as late as 10 o'clock, and then we'll start to dry out for the remainder of the night. We have the flood advisory that we're watching as well, and I'll have more details on the rainfall potential coming up.
Very active day tomorrow. All right, thank you, Kat. I want to go back to what Ashley was talking about, right? The school districts making changes to the school day tomorrow before storms ramp up. I want you to look at this map right here. You can see most are dismissing early, including Wake, Durham, Cumberland, Johnston, and Orange counties, along with Chapel Hill Carborough City Schools. 2 others shown in red will be closed completely. Several other schools are holding classes virtually. You can find a full list at the bottom of the screen, or you can go to WRAL.com.
North Carolina emergency management teams are keeping a close eye on the system. This afternoon, the state's Emergency Operations Center was placed on enhanced watch status. That means state crews are positioning to respond quickly should communities across the state need help reacting to storm impacts. That would include power outages. Duke Energy and Fayetteville PWC are both taking steps now to be ready. In just a few minutes, Duke Energy officials are sharing some specifics on how they're preparing to keep the lights on, coming up in a live interview. Now is a good time to make sure you have the WRAL News app. You can track the radar live from anywhere as this system moves through. Download it wherever you get your apps.
It gets a lot of attention. Buc-ee's, positive and negative, and the conversation continues tonight. The city of Mebane is expected to vote on whether to approve a rezoning, which would allow Buc-ee's to come to that city. On your screen, these are some of the key takeaways from Aaron Thomas, who's there tonight talking about that vote that's expected later this evening. Keeping in mind, back in December, a planning board did not recommend rezoning, so not allowing Buc-ee's was that recommendation. 200 plus people at the meeting right now, some for, many against. And this would be North Carolina's first Buc-ee's. If you're not familiar with it, it's that massive gas station, really nice store, clean inside. That's what they talk about all the time. Tons of gas pumps. It is a huge property. One of the other big concerns, though, from those who live in the communities where these are oftentimes proposed, it's the traffic. They do bring a lot of traffic right off of those interstates and those exits. So will this happen? It's unclear. Rezoning says because they don't want it. They don't think it's possible. It shouldn't happen. We'll see what the city council has in that final say with that vote tonight. Back to you.
Noise being another concern. All right, thank you, Mark. A National Guardsman from Raleigh is accused of taking steps to hire someone to murder the man who killed his mother in a car crash 7 years ago. Michelle Barlow was a Wake Forest high school teacher, and her son, Rhett Barlow, now sits in a jail charged with solicitation to commit first-degree murder. WRAL's Matt Tallhelm was in court where Barlow faced a judge for the first time this afternoon.
Prosecutors laid out some of the details of this murder for hire plot here in court. They say Rhett Barlow's actions show he was serious when he allegedly asked a Wake Forest man to kill the driver responsible for his mother's death. A teenage Rhett Barlow stood at his mother's funeral as his father sent this message to the driver who killed his wife.
As I forgive you.
7 years later, that grieving son is accused of seeking to avenge his mother's death.
Sir, you're in court today for a first appearance.
The 22-year-old appeared before a Wake County judge via video conference from the jail. He's charged with soliciting someone to kill the driver who crashed into Michelle Barlow's minivan back in March of 2016. Donald Calder Jr. was driving the dump truck that slammed into Barlow's van on Capitol Boulevard. The impact crushed the van between Calder's truck and a tractor trailer, killing the Wake Forest high school teacher. Court records show Calder pleaded guilty to misdemeanor death by vehicle and was sentenced to 75 days in jail. Now Barlow is being held on $1 million bond in connection with the murder for hire plot. In court, prosecutors described some of the actions they say he took starting on the same day in late November when he allegedly asked a Wake Forest man to kill Calder.
He purchased an AR-15 Springfield rifle at Carolina Gun Runners in Raleigh. Subsequent to that, he has purchased another firearm from the same facility.
Prosecutors say Barlow even took drastic steps to be closer to Calder.
He also requested a transfer of his Army National Guard duty to a post that put him in very close proximity to the intended victim.
The court ordered Barlow to undergo a mental health assessment. The man he allegedly asked to help be the hitman in this case, he will not face criminal charges. The district attorney tells me that's because he did the right thing. He reported it to police. Matt Tallhelm, WRAL News, Raleigh.
And WRAL reached out to Donald Calder Jr. to see how much he knew about the alleged plot against him, but we have not heard back.
Emergency crews rescued a man from a crane 80 feet in the air in downtown Durham. This all unfolded at a construction site on Liberty Street this morning. Firefighters used a ladder truck to get the man down. Construction workers say he was not affiliated with their crew. The man was unresponsive and taken to the hospital. Investigators think he may have fallen. Today, 2 workers were injured after a flash fire at Wolf Speed in Durham. Police say the fire broke out this morning while equipment was under maintenance. One of the 2 workers hurt went to the hospital with injuries to their face. The building was not damaged. Back in July, a contractor died at the Durham location and the contractor company was fined. And in October of 2022, an electrician was electrocuted and died when he grabbed an exposed coil. Wolfspeed was cited for 2 serious violations after that incident.
Parents, if your child gets sick and must head to the hospital, it could take you longer to see a doctor. UNC Children's has been operating at full capacity for months. And to make things worse, there's a rise in flu, RSV, and rhinovirus cases. At one point last week, 9 out of the 12 beds in the pediatric emergency room were taken up by other patients waiting to move to other rooms. Now, the ripple effect has now prompted the Chapel Hill Hospital to delay some elective procedures.
Certainly there are emergency procedures that need to be done that we can't delay, and so those move forward. But again, as procedures get delayed, some procedures that are semi-elective become less elective, become more urgent, and then turn into emergent procedures.
If a case is not an emergency, doctors say to try to first see your primary physician or an urgent care instead of going straight to the hospital.
Here's a live look at Durham. You know, the new leader of the Bull City is laying out his plans for the future. Mayor Leonardo Williams held his first press conference today to discuss his priorities. WRAL's Monica Casey was in the room and shows us his plans for the future.
Community, workforce, and economic development. Those are the top 3 priorities Durham's new mayor discussed in City Hall today. Mayor Leonardo Williams is focused on relationships, engaging the universities, consistency across mentoring organizations, and working with businesses. Williams says zoning changes may be needed to promote economic prosperity.
I know for a fact that East Durham, Andrew and Driver, there are lots of tenants over there, there are lots of residents, but there are also a lot of small businesses. They are looking to grow, they're looking to thrive, and that could be a district of the city that is thriving.
He's also working on the issue of affordable housing and increasing supply at every price point.
We know that when we have limited supply, that it creates housing to be more exclusive. We don't want that. We want housing to be a human right, and as close as we can get to that in Durham, then that's what we're going to do.
I asked Williams about his plan to reduce crime. He wants to address the root causes.
Housing security is a crime issue. Access to, opportunities such as jobs is a crime issue.
Williams is interested in a citywide apprenticeship program engaging people at earlier ages.
If our youth are not occupied, if their time is not occupied, they're going to get bored. And when kids get bored, that is the most dangerous thing that you could ever have in your hands.
City council members will submit their budget requests for the upcoming 2024-25 fiscal year to staff at the end of the week. In Durham, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
And Williams also says he will establish industry-specific advisory councils focused on the environment, housing, economic development, and innovation.
Parts of our area could experience power outages tomorrow when storms roll in.
Hear how Duke Energy crews are preparing now to keep the lights on in your community. Coming up next in a live interview.
Plus, construction on a major roadway in Raleigh is finally starting again. We'll explain who's picking up where another company abruptly left off.
All right, in a matter of hours, we will start to see impacts from a system bringing the risk for severe weather to our area. We are forecasting heavy rain, high wind gusts, and with those threats come concerns about damage and power outages. And that's why Jeff Brooks with Duke Energy is joining us now live with how crews are preparing for that possibility. I know it's been a busy day for you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ashley.
So crews have met earlier today. How have preparations evolved throughout the course of the day?
Well, we continue to watch the path of the storm. This is going to be a big storm. It's going to have a lot of potential impacts across the state. We've got crews ready in all the communities that we serve. And one of the challenges with this storm is because it is such a statewide storm, we can't really shift resources ahead of the storm to any one location. We have to protect those local communities. And then once we see how the damage progresses, then we can shift and adjust resources to help in the hardest hit areas. But it's going to be a busy day all across the state.
No kidding. Your crews are going to be going through a lot. I want to get back to that in just a minute. But let's talk about the saturation of the ground, because that's playing a role in the potential for downed trees and then, of course, the impact that comes with hitting the wires. How does that play into tomorrow's storm?
Well, I think that's exactly the challenge. You've got heavy rain on top of already an inch plus of rain we've had here in the Triangle. Then when you add more to it and add those gusts to 40 to 50 miles per hour, that's a perfect recipe for bringing down large trees, damaging power lines, power poles. And that can make for a lengthy restoration when you've got that much physical damage to the system. So we'll be watching that closely. But that's certainly our biggest concern.
Talk about the new technology that Duke is using. Is this really improving the response to power outages?
Yeah, it really is. We've made a lot of upgrades, from pole and line upgrades and placing outage-prone lines underground. But the one I like to talk about the most is our self-healing technology. They can automatically detect a power outage and reroute power to other lines. That's been a game changer during major storms. It's significantly helped to reduce impacts of outages. It helps to get power back up faster. And we're making a lot of investments to add those technologies for exactly what we're going to experience tomorrow to help our crews in the field get that power back up faster for people who depend on it.
Last question, real quick. Your crews are going to be working during some pretty rough conditions. So just talk about, for people who do lose power and the efforts to get that power back, they're going to be navigating all that.
Yeah, we just ask for everybody's patience. Tomorrow it's going to be a busy day. And because of the wind that's going to continue throughout the day, we have to make sure conditions are safe for our crews to be able to put their buckets up in the air. They're working with high voltage electricity. So we have to prioritize their safety. But as soon as it's safe to go out and do work, we're going to be out there working to get your power back up, and we won't stop until we get everybody back on.
Jeff Brooks with Duke Energy, thank you, and all the best tomorrow.
Thank you.
The Atlantic Avenue widening project started again today after months of delays in Raleigh. This happened after WRAL learned the company J. Smith Civil abandoned the project last August. The new contractor is Carolina Sunrock, and the goal is to improve the road between New Hope Church Road and Highwoods Boulevard. The finished project is expected to ease traffic and make this area safer. Carolina Sunrock's first priority is to first replace and repair erosion control and make sure all construction signage is in place. I want to go back now to meteorologist Kat Campbell, because we heard a little bit in that interview with Jeff Brooks a little bit ago, Kat, about the conditions that they're going to be facing tomorrow. Yes, there's the rain. There's also going to be possible debris depending on what the wind brings us.
Exactly. They're going to be dealing with the rain, the wind, the lightning threat too. You certainly don't want to be elevated when that happens. And we're already going to be seeing rain first thing tomorrow morning. So as you head out the door, grab the rain gear right away. The roads are likely to be wet. Leave some extra time for your morning commute. And you may hear a few rumbles of thunder in the morning. We're not expecting any severe weather, though, in the morning. The wind advisory starts at 10 a.m., and that's when we could begin to see some winds gusting up to about 40 to perhaps 45 miles per hour. But I think that threat really increases by lunchtime and into the afternoon, and that's when things really deteriorate. We've got widespread showers and storms, the severe weather threat during the afternoon, along with some of the strongest winds. And that's why the schools are letting out early to try to beat that and get the kids home. So let's talk about the system right now. It is producing some severe weather in parts of Louisiana as well as Texas. We've been watching those storms. Could bring some late night severe weather to parts of the Gulf Coast, so we'll watch that as well. Snow on the north side of this system, and we're going to begin to see the rain fill in overnight. So you'll wake up to that rain in the morning. We'll see the rain throughout much of the day. In total, 1.5 to 3 inches of rain. And with that, especially given the last round of rain that we saw, a flood watch is in effect for the Triangle Points West tomorrow. We could see quite a bit of rain and these strong wind gusts. And if I walk you through the wind gust forecast, at 10 a.m., we've got some winds gusting to around 30 miles per hour. As we get toward noon, that's when winds are gusting anywhere from about 30 to perhaps closer to 40 miles per hour. It's really, though, during the afternoon that we start to see the winds picking up, the storms getting stronger, and this is when, things are going to be more dangerous on the road. So make sure you have a way to receive your weather warnings and turn on WRAL if you're placed under any warnings. As we get toward 3 o'clock, some winds gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour. We'll see that continue 5 o'clock for the evening commute, and even as we head towards 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, the winds will stay fairly breezy overnight, but not as strong as they are tomorrow afternoon and evening. Here's the issue. You've got quite a bit of rain, and you've got those winds combined, and the winds will stay pretty gusty all throughout the day, and that's what could lead to scattered power outages, as we were talking to Duke Energy about. So make sure you charge your devices tonight. Heading into the overnight hours, it will still be chilly. Low temperatures in the 30s and 40s with the rain moving in, and we'll see the temperatures rise slightly by tomorrow morning. And then the warmer air really begins to surge in tomorrow, and that's the threat. We've got this warm air, lots of moisture, some energy, but really the core of this system and what makes it so threatening looking is when you look at just how strong the winds are high up in the atmosphere, and that's why it could be so windy. Temperatures in the low to mid 60s for highs tomorrow. We'll dry out on Wednesday. It'll still be fairly breezy behind this system on Wednesday, 53 for the high. Thursday looks nice, so make all your outdoor plans. Thursday, it'll be sunny, it'll be 58 degrees. Friday, we're back in the 60s potentially, but that comes with the threat for more strong to even severe storms. And then once we get to next weekend, it is looking drier by next weekend.
I gotta get through tomorrow first, though.
There you go.
All right, thanks, Kat.
Tonight, more uncertainty on the Carolina Panthers' future after ending a disastrous season filled with 15 losses. What we know about the team's latest firing next. Onward. I think that's all we can say with the Carolina Panthers, now searching for a new general manager and a head coach at the same time. The team fired general manager Scott Fitterer this morning, a day after the team ended their dismal 2-15 season.
And yesterday, the Panthers were shut out by Tampa Bay. Fitterer joined the team in 2021, and the Panthers are now looking for a head coach and a general manager during the same offseason for the first time since 2002. It's It's a tough time in Pantherland.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
And then Jamaica and Rocky Mount will create dozens of new jobs and invest hundreds of millions more dollars into the community.
Today, Cummins announced a $580 million expansion project for its operation in Rocky Mount. The project involves installing new equipment for manufacturing and upgrading its assembly line. This will create 80 new jobs. The Cummins Rocky Mount engine plant has been around since 1983, already employs more than 2,000 people. The plan for the future of RTP is now before the Wake County Board of Commissioners.
And organizers want the area to be more than just a research hub. They want it to be a place to work and play. I want to show you some renderings of the proposal they brought before leaders in Durham last month. This includes restaurants, retail, and office space, plus a social district. There's still a lot of work to be done, though. Today's presentation to Wake County was just the first step. In the months ahead, commissioners will have to review rezoning and policy changes as the development process continues. All right, the annual Cheerwine Festival, it is set for May 18th in Salisbury this year.
The event will feature live music, Cheerwine-inspired food and drinks, arts and crafts, and more. Vendor applications for food, beverages, and crafts are now open. And hey, thank you. Your generosity helped us raise a record-breaking amount of money for the annual Coats for the Children campaign.
I mean, it's amazing. Today, William Peace University's basketball and baseball teams helped sort donated coats, gloves, hats, and scarves. More than 3,000 coats were collected this year. You helped make this possible, folks. The donations will be distributed to local families who would otherwise go without this winter. In addition to the 3,000 coat donations, $195,000 was raised. So thank you so very much for making 2023 the best yet for WRAL's Coat for the Children campaign. And I mean, the days that we have had, the last couple ones have been kind of cold. This is why we have it, because you don't want kids to have to experience that.
Yeah. Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news.
And our next newscast is at 10 o'clock on Fox 50 and 11 o'clock on WRAL. We'll see you then.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.